So the really disturbing question is, why did none of them work when they were needed most?
Right away, two very different stories started to emerge. Union Carbide, the American parent company, immediately pointed the finger at sabotage. They claimed a single angry worker did this on purpose. But when independent investigators started digging, they found something else entirely. Not one single act, but a long, slow pattern of negligence, all driven by cutting costs.
Let's just break it down. There were three main safety systems that should have stopped this leak. First, the vent gas scrubber, which is supposed to neutralize the toxic gas. It was turned off to save money. Second, the flare tower, meant to burn off any gas that gets past the scrubber. It was broken because a corroded pipe hadn't been replaced. And finally, the water cannons, the absolute last resort. They were too small. They couldn't even reach the escaping gas. 3 layers of safety, and on that night, every single one of them was useless. And when you look closer, it's not hard to see why. The plant was losing money, so management slashed the budget. They got rid of the maintenance supervisor role, they didn't bother fixing broken gauges. That critical pipe for the flare tower, it would have been a 2-hour fix. They didn't do it. And people inside the company were raising the alarm, saying the systems were inadequate, but their warnings were just ignored.
And it really all came down to money. By 1984, Union Carbide had cut the Bhopal plant's annual budget by the equivalent of about $1.25 million US. A series of small decisions, a pipe not replaced here, a position eliminated there, that all added up to one massive, catastrophic failure. So that's how it happened. But the story of Bhopal doesn't end when the gas clears. Not even close. The shadow that night cast is incredibly long, and people are still living under it today. The human cost is just staggering, almost impossible to comprehend. You have the thousands who died right away. But then, the Indian government estimates another 15,000 have died since from related illnesses. More than 500,000 people were left with chronic health problems. And to add insult to injury, the factory site was just abandoned, left to rust and continue leaking poison into the local groundwater.
So what was the final price for all this suffering? Well, in 1989, Union Carbide paid this much in a settlement, $470 million. In exchange for that single payment, the corporation received total immunity from any future criminal charges. But what does that number actually mean for the victims? When you divide it up, it amounted to, on average, about this much per person, $600. For a lifetime of sickness, for losing your family, that was the value placed on their suffering. It took until 2010, 26 years later, for a conviction. 8 former Indian plant managers were found guilty of death by negligence. And this was their